Daily Nation inside Uhuru and Mudavadi fallout. The earthquake came, swept some people. Professor, I'll start with you. What did you make of that move? Because I've not had your reaction since it happened.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I was far away from the center of the earthquake in Makueni, and so I didn't really feel it as such. Of course, one thing that one can say ab initio is people have the right to enter into any coalitions, and even in terms of our earlier debate, there is nobody forcing anybody to get into like the coalition political party route. Yeah. So I would first of all concede that when people get into any coalitions, that is their democratic right. Of course, it would appear that for the deputy president, he has some now big names from Western Kenya. But the question that must be asked is, to what extent will they translate votes to his basket? Because previously, the former prime minister has been able to garner votes in that region, even when, for example, Musalia is standing. So that has been a stronghold of the former vice president, Raila Odinga. So to the extent that previously he has following there, independent of Mudavadi, and with other people he's working with, like Opananya, like Wamalo, and so on. Yeah. So maybe the gains that the deputy president has got are not as far-reaching as one would indicate through the optics of it. Okay. And I think time, will tell the real situation there. And of course, you saw some of the MPs who were allied to Musalia Mudavadi, who was also my student down the road at some point. Some of them, started saying, I am not going to go that route. Yeah. So we are probably going to see a lot of that. But the critical question is, I think, to what extent can particularly both Raila and Ruto keep their strongholds of 2017? Okay. And, how will one raid the strongholds of the other? And I think that's why Deputy President is trying to, get some votes in Eastern, get some votes at the coast, get some votes Western, and maintain Mount Kenya, which he had mobilized with the president. Yeah. And I think that's the game plan.
How would you describe that coalition, the coalition between UDA, ANC, and Ford Kenya?
To some extent, most of these people have worked together, especially through KANU in the past. So they know each other, and it's really people coming home, so to speak. There isn't really contradiction. And even when Wamatangi talked about ideology, people will write down ideologies and they will present an ideology to the Registrar of Political Parties and so on. But there might not be a lot of difference between what they used to do earlier on. Actually, it's interesting that the current president came to KANU later than most of these people. So I don't think that in terms of ideology, really, because even we have yet to get the gist, and I think maybe when they write to take it to the registrar, because of this new party, which Senator Nadia said is going to be challenged. Yeah. But one will want to know what is the nitty-gritty of these ideologies.
So you don't think they're together because of the same ideology?
It is an ideology of convenience. Okay. I think. But I'm also conceding that it is their democratic right to enter into any alliance. Okay.
Prof, how would you describe this coalition, and were you surprised by the move by Musalia Mudavadi?
Thank you, Trevor. Looking from the outside, I think I have an objective view from the outside. I think that Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, in making a choice to join a coalition, I think has gained in the sense that you remember in 2013, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, when he, after becoming vice president 2002, you remember he ran for parliament and lost when he was vice president to Akaranga. Later, when he ran as running mate to Right Honorable Raila Odinga in 2007, they did not win, but he gained some leverage, having served as a vice president, I think for the shortest time. But then, remember that in 2013, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi ran as a presidential candidate under UDF that time, Amani Coalition, UDF. He garnered 483,981 votes. The same year, you remember, Honorable Raila Odinga ran for president. I think he got over 4.65 million votes then. Got a lot of votes from the backyard of Musalia Mudavadi in Kakamega. And even in Nairobi, looking at the numbers, you then say that the biggest, and this is what to look toward to, yeah, that the biggest gain of Honorable Musalia Mudavadi would be in a coalition. Okay. But from what we have seen post the so-called earthquake, we have only seen defections. Out of his 12 elected members of parliament, we have seen defections about 7. 7 have hinted at defecting or have defected. So that means that the earthquake has actually led to a loss of members of parliament from his backyard. I think we can only adopt a wait and see principle and see if the people will follow the elected leaders or not. Remember, the same fate belies Honorable Moses Wetangula, yeah, who, with his Fort Kenya backyard, which has had trouble, as you know, 2 of his MPs have had their own issues with him, but he also, of course, a member of the coalition, yeah, will also live to the reality of either defections or other members joining. Okay. What many people do not know is that Honorable, the Fort Kenya party leader, has 11 members of parliament. He has 11 members of parliament, interestingly, and 46 MCAs. So if you look at the dynamics of the earthquake, you find that some MCAs hinted at leaving. Yeah. I know that for Amani, the MCA for Kolera and other places already hinted that they're leaving the coalition. Okay. So there's a mixed reaction. Okay. And so far, let us wait and see how this unfolds, okay, and how the full coalition comes into being, yeah, and whether this will affect the vote basket of Musalia Mudavadi. But I can tell you, yeah, that it will be again for Honorable Raila Odinga in his western backyard, in his Nairobi backyard, because I think he has many votes in Nairobi as well. Yeah. And I think that will play out also in stations like Nakuru that are multicultural. Yeah. That would affect the elections of other contenders, depending on what coalitions they belong to. Okay. So that's what I'm saying.
Cherargei, what does this mean for the UDA bagging Musalia Mudavadi, and how is it going to work exactly? Because, you know, his members allied to him are saying that he is still running for president. UDA has also already decided that it's a deputy president who is running for president. So both of them are running for president and yet campaigning together.
The earthquake happened. I was somewhere in Kiminda in Nandi, and we had all known that Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula would make political genius move. You have to note that Musalia Mudavadi, the supporters of Azimio, had always hoped that he would join them, both Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula. I think what I agree with the Professor Kibwana is that will you be able to hold your strongholds? And you have to give the deputy president that he has raided stronghold of NASA. You remember the votes that Raila Odinga got in 2017 was courtesy of NASA working together. But now the deputy president has ensured that Mount Kenya is looking good, and of course Rift Valley and other parts of the country like Northeastern. So in all intents and purposes, there has been a significant hold of the fort by the deputy president. And that is why it shows that there are mass defections to UDA. You have seen a number of people have been joining UDA. You even saw the CEO of Keroje Industries, Tabitha Karanja, and many other, some of the media individuals that are running for Njoro constituency. This shows that they know where the win will be. So for us, we want, and the deputy president did say when we had a parliamentary group meeting on Monday, that the nitty-gritties will share with the country, and Professor has said that those are, when we will now deposit registrar of political parties, you will know what. But yesterday, if you watch very carefully in Ravine and Nakuru, the first rally of Kenya Kwanza, Ujumbi Pora and Pesa Mfukoni, is that you add, it is not about what William Ruto will get or Musalia Mudavadi will get or Moses Wetangula will get. It is about Kenya. It's about redemption of economy that is riddled with debt, that the Kenyans are now surviving, they are no longer living, and I know you understand what that means. So I think that many people would want to wish away and say now Musalia Mudavadi, and you know, in fact, the same people in Bugungu 1, and our brother, the trade unionist, in fact, was the one in that Bugungu 1 and said Musalia Mudavadi will be the Luhya spokesperson, even Moses Wetangula. And you know, the people who wanted to hijack the political party of Fort Kenya have now gone to DAP. And when ODM realized, by the way, and you have to give it to some of the moves that Raila Odinga is making, when he realized that ODM can no longer sell in Western Kenya, he decided to come with a party that has strong association called DAP. That is why that party was launched, and immediately, even before. And by the way, I don't know, you know, we have learned senior colleagues here. I don't know whether some of these parties meet the requirements of Article 91, because you sometimes get shocked because if the chairman is from the same tribe, the office is somewhere in Lugari or somewhere, hidden somewhere, whether it has the national character. Number two, on this show, on Tuesday night when Waiga Mwaura hosted Kiminini Member of Parliament, Dr. Chris Wamalwa, and Ayub Savula, on several occasions before the camera, has agreed that he had been bribed to take over ANC, to remove, because he was purported the deputy party leader of ANC. So what we are doing, Trevor, in a nutshell, is that the deputy president and UDA will work with all political parties and individuals who want betterment for Kenya. And I've always said in this show that the doors are open. You can see the deputy governor of Makueni, deputy to my good friend and brother, Professor, has joined UDA. I'm being informed reliably that maybe Kimani Wamatangi is winding up issues in Jubilee and headed to UDA. So I can say with all intents and purpose, and I agree with Professor, he said, this is a democratic country. Let everybody make their choices on who they believe, and we respect them. When they want to support Raila Odinga, we don't have a problem. But I don't know why would people have a problem when Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula support William Ruto.
Okay. All right.
I don't know why.
Let me start with, I'll finish with what he said last.
You're warming up to Joey.
Let me finalize with that, so that I may make my thoughts known on what I think about the earthquake. You know, Trevor, earthquakes, the strength of an earthquake is measured by the depth of the craters it causes and the casualties, you know, it causes. And I don't know whether that lived up to the expectation of being an earthquake. But also we also have to acknowledge that there are earthquakes which have got aftershocks that may last a long time, and sometimes even those aftershocks could be stronger than the original earthquake itself. So maybe it could be somewhere in between there. In following with what Professor Kibwana said, maybe as they move on, we'll see what it will evolve into. But a few things, Trevor. That one, politics is a lot by perception, and perception may change a lot of thoughts and also alliances and persuasion, and for that matter, I would not dismiss the perception that gave to the people of the Republic. That probably a few things can happen out of the expected. So I think maybe if that was what the earthquake was about, maybe they could have succeeded in shaping that perception. But as it were, Trevor, also give it as it is, for that matter. And I believe always in doing that the way it is. On that day, I think Musalia Mudavadi gave the delivery of his speech in a very unique and good way. I mean, he in delivering the speech, forget the content, but he did. For that one, you can give him, and he spoke. And I'm saying that because earlier on, there was a perception about him that that came out differently this time. That he can be able to express himself effectively, for that matter. So I think for that matter, he may have done what he's supposed to do. He intended to do. The content probably, some of the issues that he raised would be contradictory, and I don't know whether you followed on social media after that. Because there was a barrage of a lot of negations of some of the things that he said, some of them in jest of maybe what he said and what happened, others where he is involved. Some people even raised issues. I'm sure you follow social media, Trevor, about, some issues about his record and what have you, about when he was a local government minister and so on. So those issues arose. The one thing probably that I would mention that I would think outstandingly would be different is the defections of members of parliament from his party. And I think it is important that we say it this way, because it's a fact that towards an election, really the influence or impact of sitting members of parliament is not necessarily big as to how they affect the ground. Because by history, Trevor, maybe less than 30% of members of parliament are re-elected. And by the time you get to an election, most of those members are widely unpopular on ground. And most of them would be looking for a quick bus that looks like it can get to the other side of town. So maybe some would be moving from here and riding that bus and looking like they're giving influence, like they're defecting there. But really it is self-seeking. Some of them want to get a quick ride, and the impact they have is not necessarily the way it is. Probably last 2 points would be this, in my thinking. What would be the net effect of Musalia Mudavadi plus Moses Wetangula joining Ruto? If you look at how the Western region has voted in the past elections, they are very sectoral, such that you find that there are times when they differ between the Kakamegas and Vihigas and the Bungomas and the others. You find that they vote a lot differently. Maybe, and I said maybe, probably having Wetangula from Bungoma in that region, and then having Musalia from the Kakamega, Vihiga area, maybe if put together, they could mean something. And what I'm trying to drive to is that what might end up being the reality is that it might be a tough race. It's good to put facts the way they are. It might end up being a tough race between Raila Odinga and William Ruto, because and this would be my thinking. You can give Ruto a bit of his foresight thinking, because Oka was always a threat to him. That's the reality. Oka, in its formation, the way it was, the four of them, if they moved towards the Raila side, it was a big threat to Ruto. But I mean, he's a sniper, as he has shot, because from long range he shot and aimed at Musalia and Wetangula and nailed them. And probably that then could mean some beginning of the death of Oka for that matter. And in political speak, because it is proper to put things on ground so that when you're preparing yourself for the next step, you know what's happening. I think it's something that Azimio Group would need to look at. So that finally, when the Kenya Kwanza, and Cherage, you did not tell us, now that we have this new slogan of Kenya Kwanza, what happens to bottom up? You know, is the boat, you can tell us you're around.
You are now working.
You will respond to that.
Yes.
A new slogan they use.
Yeah,
yes.
it's the bottom-up dead.
Yeah.
And then lastly is to that question that you asked, and you know, I envy your optimism. You know, because Trevor...
Will you be moving to UDA?
You know,
let's ask you that directly.
You know, Trevor,
Yes, because I said last...
this question you have asked me so many times.
And you've never answered
And
it.
I've answered you so many times, my friend.
Yes.
You know, I'm a political, you know, I'm experienced politically.
Yeah.
I've been here for 10 years, so I know my moves, my brother. You know, I've been here and I know how to calculate. Right now, I'm in Jubilee.
Yes.
Right.
And when everybody else moved, you've seen I've been here.
Yes.
Everybody else went away. I'm here. Would you be thinking that I don't know what I'm doing?
So where will you be moving to next?
Why do you expect me to move?
So you
why is it that you think that the only thing I can do is to move?
So you're staying.
You know this
But
is
Trevor,
what
but you're not confirming that you're staying in the
you know,
for the long term.
Everybody runs away. I stay put, and the only thing that you're thinking is that I'm supposed to move.
So you're not moving.
I mean, I can stick. I can stay. Why not?
Okay.
Why not? We can rebrand, we can reshape, we can do, you know, things and be in a coalition, because we are going coalition ways. And if we go into a coalition, we can find our space in that coalition.
Okay.
Yes.
Agreed.
But he's not saying, the vice chair of Jubilee said that they are going to unite with the ODM. I hope you followed what he said.
That's a different story.
That's a different. You know, let me tell you, Cherargei, just so that this settles your mind. At the end of the day, when we have done what we are supposed to do, the political decision as to how your future looks like is yours entirely.
Correct.
Yeah, that's yours entirely.
All right.
And you are signed to a political party and a persuasion that you believe in.
Okay.
Now, if things would be done somewhere ahead that I do not agree with, I have a right, like every Kenyan, to disagree and to disengage and move at that particular time.
Good.
Prof,
Yes.
were you surprised by the move of your own deputy, Adelina Mwau, to UDA? Were you shocked?
Yeah. Before I answer that, and I'm going to answer that, let me also say, in terms of the earlier question, we have worked with some of the people on the Musalia, Wetangula side during NASA closely. And they expressed what could be a valid concern in terms of, they were saying, if they support Raila again, and Musalia, and especially Musalia, they support Raila again, and he becomes president, then it means that from the western side, there is that president, and next time, it is most likely that the president will come from the eastern side of the country, and therefore, Musalia's presidential bid suffers. I will not say an earthquake, but there is a major problem to it. So that, I would imagine, was an important consideration for them. Of course, this event killed Oka. And killing Oka, that is why even Kalonzo is at sea. Because he had been saying that he will be the presidential candidate of Oka, and some of the maths done there, you know, were done in such a way that it was like he was a main actor. So now that has taken him back to the drawing board. That's one of the effects of what Musalia and Wetangula have done.
Even though he says now they've removed the traffic, in fact, in his own words, sasa ni Ikulu direct. That's what he said. His friends were giving him traffic jam. Sasa wametoka ni Ikulu direct. He says yes.
Well, maybe, you know, sometimes where I work at, in Makueni, there isn't much traffic. I go to work easily, so maybe his perception of traffic. The reality is, on his own, his candidature is dead. And even in that region, people are telling him that you are not going to tell us again that you will be president on your own. It's not feasible. Don't lose us. Find a coalition to join. And of course, they're asking him to join Azimio. But Musalia and Wetangula have directly gone to Ruto. maybe there's a perception by some of Kalonzo's handlers that he can indirectly go to Ruto now and later, after the elections, go directly to him by denying Raila votes from Mukambani, which was a stronghold. And the Mukambani votes, or the Kamba vote, is like 2.2. Now with the new registrations going to 2.5 and beyond. And so maybe some of his Kalonzo's handlers are telling him that this is good strategy, like 2007, when you were katikati and you could bargain afterwards. But of course, the community is telling him that we do not want that. We have to be clear from the word go where we are, so that we are part of these formations, because these two formations, that's where you get a president from. And of course, being Azimio, I know that, Raila is likely to be the next president of the country. So some people are telling him that in 2007, if you had supported Raila or supported Kibaki, even the problems that ensued because of a very close fight would not have occurred. So I think that's another effect of what happened when Musalia left him. And of course, Gideon, it's clear where Gideon is at. My deputy governor, we have actually worked very well together.
Yeah.
We have presented ourselves as one situation where we don't quarrel. We have run Makueni as co-governors, not even a governor and deputy. She chairs cabinet. She goes to, she does, all the things that elected together we should do. When we had Azimio in Makueni, she was in Azimio. She was one of the people actually who, were advocating for Raila and so on. Our speeches are there. Yeah. When we went to a place we call Kakavaka to ask about 2,000 people from Makueni, our leadership, which is our direction, she is the one who was saying, isn't it Azimio? And people said, yes, that's what they want. So the night before she went to the deputy president, she came to my house. My mother had been unwell, so she said to my wife she wants to come and see my mother. And so she asked several people to come with her to see my mother. And at that point, she did not tell me that the following day, she had an earthquake. She had her own earthquake. And then she asked some of my close friends that they should join, political friends, they should join her to go and see deputy president. And at about 1, that's when they told me that they're being asked to do this. Yeah. So now, of course, I can't wake up a lady at 1 a.m. The following day, when I called her, she didn't pick the phone. So I think as a human being, I really felt that this is not correct, because when you come to my home and then you are going the following day to see the deputy president, you want to send the message that I have sent you. And so that, tactfully, people begin to say, this guy we're saying is in Azimio, he's watermelon, he's not, that kind of stuff. So I did react by saying, since we were working together and we were working in Azimio and you have changed your mind, it's good, you can change your mind. It's democracy, but there is decency also. You tell somebody, we were working together. You have helped me the much you have helped me. But now, to preserve myself, it is time, to go somewhere else. I would have respected that. And I would have said, that's fine. I cannot tell you, even when we share what I think, and we do share many things with Adelina in terms of this is what perhaps can happen. You want to be a women rep, this is perhaps what can happen, and so on. There are some challenges. But as far as I'm concerned, she has chosen her path. I have chosen my path. She wants to be a women rep. One can only wish her well. And Of course, there are certain things that we were sharing in terms of our politics and in terms of, you know, there has to be knowledge management.
Yeah.
Because I don't really want to get into problems because of sharing the way we used to share, you know, and so on. Because
so you're detaching from her now?
Of course, because she has decided to, you know, go another route, and I'm going another route. There is no way we can be sitting down and I tell her what I'm doing, my strategies, and so on. That cannot.
This final lap, how is this going to run?
You know, one thing, you know, one thing that we have to agree, my brother, you know, you're my friend.
Yeah.
You cannot run this like the divorce court.
No, it's a matter of public interest. He was out there saying that his deputy governor will walk alone. But you've just told us now that they used to co-govern.
That's true.
You know, of
so
course,
how is it going to work?
but you can pick it from the governor's voice.
No,
of course, it is a sorrowful moment.
It is a house of record.
It is almost like a bereavement. Actually, it was almost like a bereavement. Well, maybe less. But you know, sometimes you believe in somebody.
Yeah.
You share deeply in terms of you know, strategies, in terms of whatever work, where for all intents and purposes, there are very few deputy governors who are allowed to chair cabinet.
Correct.
Who are allowed to. There was a stint of time when Dr. Mulo was my Minister for Health, went to the national level. And I asked her, I told her for about 6 months, you know, you are going to do this to be acting, although it's a lot of work, and she didn't like being questioned by the assembly and so on. So when you get to levels where you say, the constitution says that we work together, and I wanted to give full extent and show an example of our governor and a deputy governor can work together to the benefit of their, you know, and you know, we help each other. But since we can't do our common politics, and you know, there are things that we share in politics, so one has to keep a good distance. She has to keep also a good distance from me, so that I don't know what she's planning.
But Trevor, can I ask a question?
But yes, Governor, but have you spoken to her since her defection?
Yesterday, we had a cabinet. She asked to be excused from the cabinet.
She didn't show up.
And I respected that. And I respected that. Last time I called, and I called several times, she didn't pick my phone. But I'm thinking that things will cool. You know, we'll have a sit down.
All right.
And, we will now plan how to go forward.
A question, Trevor.
Yes.
But first I acknowledge that what Governor has said, indeed, in the way they have run the county government of Makueni, that one we have to give it to the governor. That indeed, in most other counties, you find that it has been battle royale between governors and the deputies. And they ran a very good show, because you could see it every time when you had meetings that there was a lot of decorum, decency, courtesy, and of course giving meaning to that position of deputy governor. So as far as that's concerned, Professor Kibuza Kibwana, I acknowledge that you did your best. And but unfortunately, you know, and you know, when you said it was almost like a bereavement, we come short of words. But a question that I wanted to find out, you know, there was a time that you yourself, Governor Kibuza, was in Karen, and you took some photos with the deputy president not long ago. I think sometime somewhere in this season. And indeed, that time, you remember, it went around social media everywhere that you are one of the people who are likely to be the running mate to the deputy president. It was all over that particular time, and so probably just because I know you're an honest man, that's why I have the guts to ask you this question, and we've had other engagements with you. Just for understanding, to understand then, you know, why is the difference now that Adelina decided to go to the deputy president? You had gone earlier, you took photos, and there was rumor to have been talk between yourself and him about running mate and so on. And indeed, the deputy president went to Makueni if you remember that time, and was hosted by you. So just for understanding, Trevor, why is the departure, or why now then does it feel like a betrayal when she's gone and you had gone?
I had not gone anywhere.
Yeah.
As governors, we have the IBEC meetings with the deputy president. And when we have them, and he asks to speak to you afterwards, you cannot say no, because he's the deputy president of Kenya. And even now, if he asks me to speak to me on a matter which is because he's the deputy president of Kenya, and governors are supposed to deal with him, like he's in charge of the open government program, and Makueni is one of the counties in the open government. So unless he doesn't have that job and we have to meet, I cannot say I will not meet him. The first time we hosted him in Makueni, it was a state function because he was coming to preside something about youth. So he had been sent to come and preside over that. And so we hosted him. Going to church, if he comes to church, in Makueni, I will not be able to say, I can't come to church with you, or in the region. Even he's supposed to come through invitation of AIC to a place called Kalamba, because that's where Christianity, one of the places where Christianity began. So again, I can't run away and say, I will not join him. It's the first time I hear that he wanted to make me deputy president because he never told me that.
That was a rumor.
He didn't mention anything.
It must have been a rumor.
Did he talk to you about any coalition?
It must have a rumor. Not at all. And as far as I'm concerned, in terms of the personal decisions that you take, the reason of going to Azimio is I have a history with Raila. We have a history of, the reform movement. We have a history of fighting for multi-party democracy. We have a history of constitution making. We have a history of supporting devolution. So for me, there are things that I say to myself that if I see this in a person, then we can work together. So if he wanted to make me a deputy president, if he had asked me, I would have said, that will not happen. So, and again, if he continues to be the deputy president of Kenya, and he comes to Makueni on official, functions, or to church and so on, I will not say that I'll run away from him. But you see, I didn't go to UDA. Yeah. If you go to, because there is a meeting of governors, and then later he has to talk to you, or if he comes to Makueni on official function, I have not gone to say that we are going to work together politically, which I have not, said that could be done. So the difference is my deputy governor has said she's in UDA, she's posting that, she's saying she will be a women candidate through that, and I've said I'm in Azimio because this is now decision time. So that is the major difference, but it's a fair question. And
fair question. Prof, let me bring you in on something different now. This is a larger question. So there was a bit of a war of words between Musalia Mudavadi and the president. The president was said he's a bit disappointed in the move by Musalia Mudavadi. Musalia Mudavadi says the people of Kenya are disappointed in the president. Are the people of Kenya disappointed in the president? And from your view, and this is now a larger question in terms of governance as we look into the transition government, what should then the next president keep in mind as he comes in?
I think, Trevor, takes us back to what Professor Kivuda Kibwana, Governor Makueni said, that words mean a lot. And when Honorable Musalia Mudavadi delivered his speech, you could see a leader struggling from the past, a leader pained at disappointments. You could see a leader who twice thought he would be selected candidate to lead the country, and who twice was disappointed, both during the Kibaki transition and in this second transition. So I think that hasn't quite left him, and I think that we expected better. I don't think that Honorable Musalia Mudavadi would have spewed the the verbal venom that he did on disappointments, and largely also directed at Honorable Raila Odinga as well, in terms of disappointments, in terms of, I will not go in that direction. I will go in a different direction. And I think that also points to the earthquake, the quote-unquote earthquake, that basically signified that he would go a different direction. And that's why I thought the earthquake was never was, because it was predictable. It is, I will not follow the usual direction, I will go a different direction, and I will shock the nation.
Yeah.
I think President Uhuru Kenyatta has done well for this country. I do not think that he owes it to any person to even point that this is the person you must elect. He can define the qualities and say that perhaps this is the direction the country can go. But it is the people that will make the choice of what leader they want.
Yeah.
And that is why President Uhuru Kenyatta perhaps has also seen that coalition building is the best way for this country. And it is time, and I think all of us agree, that the amendments to the Political Parties Act point to that direction, that we need to have a predictable form of predictable coalitions made in good time. And I think this will also sanitize our politics for the future. And Trevor, so let me tell you this, that in the battle of coalitions, whichever coalition, of course, will get the other remaining, governor said that Ruto, when Ruto shot at Mudavadi and Musalia, his Oka was split with Kalonzo remaining alone, and there can be no Oka. Of course, I saw him with new members that he's trying to create so that there's some semblance of, I don't think that's possible though. I think that the race is close. Perhaps it is a tie now. And that tie will be broken if Kalonzo Musyoka and the Eastern Bloc join Azimio. That's very key.
Or if they join UDA.
If they join UDA, of course, it will be done on the part of UDA. If they join Azimio, it will be done on the part of the I think as Kivuda says, that there will be a difficulty in Kalonzo twisting the UDA way or remaining independent. If he does, perhaps he may move alone without the people. Remember the three governors of Eastern Bloc, Excellency Mutua, Excellency Honorable Charles Ngilu, and the governor himself are all tilting towards Azimio. So I think that there's no choice. And the people, I'm sure, are also pushing them toward that direction. Okay. So President Uhuru Kenyatta, I think, wants the best for this country. Okay. And he's just showing the direction. That this is how you go. And my friend, Honorable Kivuana, is also clear that he thinks that this time round is going to be Raila Odinga.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the president? 1 being the lowest and 10 being the best?
I think he's done well. I would give him a 7 over 10. He's done well. All these political struggles are real, they're hard, but I think he's done well for this country. Okay. And going forward, we hope that we even have better as we go into the transition.
All right, Cherargei, scale of 1 to 10. And this is a larger governance question. It's not just about what Mudavadi said, that the people are disappointed in the president.
The second term during the handshake, the president has done poorly. In fact, for him to get 2 over 10 is fortunate because even when Musalia Mudavadi said that Kenyans are disappointed, it's right. The public debt is going bonkers. I'm telling you, Kenyans, the people who are doing businesses, the hustlers, the people in Kishagi and many others struggling. In fact, where I come from, for the first time in history, since, and you know, Professor Kivuta was in Kibaki's government, as farmers we are buying 5,000 shillings per 50 kilo bag of fertilizer. What are you saying? Uhuru has done poorly, both politically and economically. And I don't know what was his training. I'm yet to know. But the point I'm trying to make is that Musalia Mudavadi is right that President Uhuru Kenyatta has underperformed. And even unborn child will tell you that because the economy is doing badly, he has divided the country more than before. Because President Uhuru, after the handshake, he has been fighting his own deputy. You remember the embarrassment of many things that the deputy, his office has been undermined. You have seen being being demeaned by even some junior government officials. So the president has not even been a symbol of national unity, because in as much as he brought Raila Odinga on fall, the opposition chief, he decided to destroy. You remember even we had the whipping, the fight in parliament, where he's even removing his own members of Jubilee who are working hard to ensure he gets elected. So I agree with Musalia Mudavadi when they say it is not about president being disappointed with Musalia Mudavadi, it's about Kenyans being disappointed. And finally is that I think Musalia Mudavadi, and whether, I don't know, the President Uhuru Kenyatta, and I said by the way, I remember we used to clash here when he started the State of the Nation, that the presidential candidate of Uhuru Kenyatta was Raila Odinga. And the aim of handshake was succession politics of 2020. I said countable times. I remember my panelist who has been a common denominator here, Senator Kimani Wamatangi, insisting that is not the position. But from the conversations that we are seeing and the intel we have is that Uhuru has been trying to whip Oka to be behind Raila Odinga. But when Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula realized were being used as a rubber stamp to ensure the Raila Odinga gets elected, then now that is why the president is disappointed, because Musalia put a very correct argument. Your enemy should not be my enemy. Your friend should not be my friend. And I think, and by the way, before, and I conclude on that, but so what we are saying is that, and I want just, and I've said on this show that what we request President Uhuru Kenyatta to do, now that the economy is down on its knees, the country is more divided than before, is just to give us one thing, to ensure we have a peaceful, credible, transparent and fair election going into 2022. And that would be, I think that if President gives us that, and I know, and allow himself to retire peacefully, I don't think there will be a problem. Kenyans are more intelligent. Let me finish with this.
So you give him a 2 out of 10?
Yes. Kenyans are more intelligent to know who should be the president of this republic. And all indicators point that the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto, is the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya.
You know, I'd like to give you closing remarks, but at this point I doubt you will make brief remarks. So
no,
let me first take on what they said. I'll do that quickly. I mean, I think first on the, Musalia Mudavadi has been my friend for a long time, and we speak, and I sat here and there, and one thing I would want to say is that, and say to him, really, is that the respect that he has earned from Kenyans in the past is because of the core of who he is. He presented himself as a sober person, as somebody who looks at issues and reflects and then make comments. And my advice to him would be, it may not necessarily be worth it to sacrifice a long-built image of yourself of a short period, gain, or to fit in for that matter. Because if you listen to Kenyans across, it's like my friend here, Professor Kibuza Kibwana, I mean, everybody has a character that you build over time. That when you mention Kibwana, you know that you're talking about this kind of person, that he's reflective, he's sober, he will make decisions. And I think that's the kind of image that Mudavadi has cast for himself all along. It is uncharacteristic of him, and I think I would want to separate the two. He can change during political competition, of course, and fang out and claw out where he has to. But the core of who he is, I think that he has to preserve, because that's his persona. It's who people know and whom they would want to buy. Some of the things I heard him say on that day are too populist, for him. I mean, it was just sounding like, really making it more of a rally than a lounge. So if he would just be consistent in who he has been, he's still well to go and well to sell. By the way, maybe if he was a different person, maybe Ruto would not have even gone for him. So maybe that's all I would say to him, that I think it's more useful for him to remain the sober guy he's been, and then propagate his position within where he has gone now, carrying the same persona he's had.
How do you rate the president's performance?
That's what I'm going, Trevor. On the question of rating the president, and I've heard my good friend Professor Ojeda, rating him at about 7.
Yeah.
I would add a little, maybe about 7.1, 7.2 there. And I will tell you why. You know, the president has reigned and led this country during very tough times.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's good to look at things in reality, because this president, there will be history in a very short while, which will judge really what has happened. He's had to rule during a global depression.
Yeah.
And that's a reality you cannot wish away. He's had to lead the country during the COVID pandemic, which has been, you know, a major economic, you know, destroyer of countries and economies. But somehow, as Kenyans, and it is good sometimes to take pride in some of the things that we have, we've not done well. We are not, you know, ululating and saying that we are at the best of what we should be. But at least we've survived, and we have got hope.
Yeah.
That it can get better.
Okay.
You know, for all that there is that we've lost, at least we've been able to pull through, and we have the strength and the guts and the will that if we fight it harder, we can get across. Okay. I think when it comes to holding the reins of the country, he didn't let go. Okay. You know, no matter how tough it was. And so I think
7.2
I'll give him about 7.2. Maybe the last question I may want to put across.
And is the government...
Is this Trevor?
Is the government...
Because you asked the question on Kalonzo.
Yeah.
If you look at what is happening to every presidential candidate, every candidate for that matter, before they either go to another coalition, first they launch a presidential bid. You know, you remember Mudavadi was actually on that day launching a presidential bid.
Yeah.
Kalonzo did. Of course, Raila did, and everybody else did. One of the things that I think would be good for discussion in the future is what is the value and worth of those presidential bid declarations, and how should Kenyans then take them in the future? Because if you look across the entire span, everybody has been, and you remember I was supposed to have been launching mine as a power discussion on the 2nd of February.
What?
And by the way, Cherage, you don't know that I have a party. It's only that I've not told you. I was going to be launching, my friend. You know, some of these things we need to be...
So you're launching your presidential
bid? We were supposed to have been launching. You remember before my running mate ran away?
Maybe.
And I don't know whether you stopped
How would you invite your friends?
I was supposed to be launching mine, and he had launched his.
Yes.
And then now we can also fall in queue.
Okay.
So, but don't write it off, Cherage, because you had asked which way I'm going.
Yes.
It is very likely that I may also be launching mine and form my own coalition.
Wow.
Okay.
And we may meet there ahead.
I hope you invite some of us to be there.
We are running out of time. I need Prof to give me a rating for the president performance.
Before I do that, before I consider that point, let me say that in Lower Eastern Ukambani region, increasingly there is conversation there, you know, by leadership in that region, whether it is cultural leadership, it's religious leadership, it's business leadership, it's professional leadership, that they will not accept for Kalonzo to say he's going solo, because they know that will not produce results for them to be in a formation which leads our country. And so this idea that he continues to enjoy the kind of support that he did in the past, that idea is not necessarily tenable. And so he's really also fighting for his political life in that region. And that is why the governors, you know, have said, and other leaders have said that he will be told what he must do. And if he says he's still going up to the very end, then he will be told, you go alone. You are not going with the community. Some of his people tell him, let's go even if we are going to fall into a hole. And the people are saying that they don't want to go and fall into a ditch. So increasingly, you know, some people overrate him, but we are telling him that, you know, you will do what we ask you as a community, and we are not asking you to stand on your own until the very end. Let me also say, the president and the deputy president worked very well in the first term.
Yeah.
And even today, when the deputy president is campaigning, he actually says the electricity they have done together, the roads they have done together, the things that they have done. So I would imagine, strictly speaking, if you asked him to rate the president on that basis of the things they have done together, you know, I'm sure he would probably, in his heart, even if not by speaking, rate him quite high, because he keeps on saying the things that they have done together.
Yeah.
And of course, he started campaigning early. You know, if you have a deputy who starts campaigning from day one, and you're supposed to be working together, and he's defocusing you, so to speak, then, you know, it's not easy for the person who is the ultimate leader.
Yeah.
And because he did campaign from earlier on, so some of the gains that you know, apparent today are gains that now that Raila has also started campaigning will not be sustained.
Okay.
And I think one of the basic things is whose backyard is Mount Kenya? You know, when Gil ran, you know, we never quite answered that question, because she was told, you are going to win, we are going to support you. Until the end, it took less than a week for that to change. And then Masaya Mbele became Masaya Nyuma. So I think one can assume Mount Kenya. And at the end of the day, they normally sit somewhere, I don't know, Limuru something, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Matangi will tell us.
And then they make a real earthquake. So I think the jury is still not yet out. I will reserve giving the instant poll that you have said, because you can't give it without talking about both the president and the deputy president. And from the deputy president, actually the president scores very high, because he says they have done very many things together.
So you wouldn't want to give on a scale of 1 to 10, you can't?
Not now. Not now, because I would have to think about it, because I would have to give for both of them.
Okay.
For both of them. But I know that in terms of infrastructure, in terms of like getting the region together, in terms of his engagement at the international level, in terms of really making sure that with COVID, with the recession that was talked about, he has really, you know, secured this country, and he's ready to hand it over.
All right, gentlemen.
Can I just comment something on police distress? I just saw a story we did. One thing I can comment about the police distress is that I've seen the issue of mental illness, the issue of housing. But Trevor, you realized the other day there was slashing of police salaries. And there's been a court order to IG to reinstate those salaries. So those are some of the issues that compound the police problems that we see in the country. So I hope the problems within police force is not outside the police. It is within the internal, our police operations are being done. So I hope that issue can be resolved, so that we don't see police killing each other or mental illnesses that we see within the police force.
I've really run out of time here. Let me try and see if I can squeeze in some quick feedback really quick here. M. Dalo says Governor Kibwana's deputy is desperate since Mr. Governor is serving his last term. The deputy saw she will be left out and decided to be safe from the earthquake. Let's see the next one really quick. Mara says, I don't know why Kibwana still believes in someone who has failed almost 5 times in consecutive elections. These people keep on trying all means to clinch to power using the same methods that made them fail. Are they not watching people close to Huru ditching to UDA? Okay. Kelvin Mutwiri says Ukambani is another fishing point for Ruto. The 3 governors are uniting to overthrow Kalonzo as the kingpin. Kalonzo may pull a shot by joining Ruto's side to punish Raila and 3 governors. Okay. Chalo Woodrow says President Uhuru Kenyatta's observation on who the country's next president is very important and not to be ignored. UDA should not talk ill of the president because he's skewed towards Azimio la Umoja. President has his reasons, and very soon he will tell Kenyans, okay?
We are waiting.
Okelo Mwalimu says the newfound political love between Ruto and Mudavadi is Ruto's gain and Mudavadi's pain. Wait until the latter's lieutenants and support